guys, welcome to this afternoon's video on scale drawings. You've done some of this in the past if you've ever looked at a map and seen the scale on a map. As we know, maps represent distances and they're often too great to be in actual units that we use. So scale drawings represent objects that are either too tiny or they're too large to be drawn or built, okay, at their actual size. And it's all about ratios, and we've worked with ratios in the past. If you start off by looking at page 412, I want you to look at example 1. It asks you to find the length or the distance between two towns. It says, use the scale to find the actual distance between Hagerstown and Annapolis on the map. And it tells you on the map that 1 unit is equal to 24 miles. So 1 unit is equal to 24 miles. And it tells you the distance between the two cities is 4 units. So you're just going to set up a ratio. 1 unit is 24 miles. And that has to be equal to 4 units, which is how many miles, right? You have to just maintain equivalent ratios. Well, to get from 1 unit to 4 units, I multiply by 4. I'm going to do the same thing here. And so the distance between these two towns is 96 miles, okay? I want you to now do the check on page 413, and then when you're done with that, go to page 414, and it says use scale drawings to find area. So we just used a scale drawing to find the distance between 2 points. Now we're going to find the area. And it shows you the very rudimentary blueprint of a restaurant, and it says the drawing shows the map of a restaurant drawn to scale. On the map, 1 inch represents 5 feet. So it's always a good idea to put your ratio someplace where you're working on the problem. So 1 inch is equal to 5 feet, okay? And it says what's the actual area of the kitchen? So what's the true area of the real kitchen? So if we look here, we know that the area of a rectangle is equal to the length times the width. So on our drawing, the length is 9 inches and the width is equal to 5 inches, okay? So what we need to find out what the actual length is and the actual width to find the area of the actual kitchen. So first, I know my ratio is 1 inch is the same as 5 feet. So my length first, that means 9 inches is how many feet? Well, 1 times what equals 9? 1 times 9, I have to do the same thing here. So the actual kitchen has a length of 45 feet. And the width, using the same ratio, 1 inch to 5 feet, the width is 5 inches. So how many feet is that going to be? Again, equivalent ratios. 1 times 5 is 5. I have to do the same thing to the denominator. So the actual width of this kitchen is 25 feet. And if I multiply them together, because I know length times, oh, I put a plus. Sorry about that. Length times width is equal to area. I got 1,125 feet squared as the area of the actual kitchen represented by this drawing, okay? All right, go now to, let's see, go to page 416. Page 416 says you're going to reproduce scale drawings. So they're gonna have you take a drawing that's drawn on one scale and then reproduce it using a different scale, okay? So if you look at that, they have a picture there on page 416 of a park, and it's on a grid, and it tells you that the scale, and you want to note this at the top, the scale is that 1 unit is equal to 30 meters. So 1 unit is equal to 30 meters. And here's my park, okay? And this park at this scale has, let's see, the length is 4 units and the width is 1.5 units, okay? And it wants you to take this and it wants you to change the ratio to 1 unit is equal to 10 meters, and then find how big the park needs to be drawn with this different scale, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is find out what is the actual length of the width and the length of the park based on this scale, okay? So if 1 unit is 30 meters, then 1.5 units is gonna be how many meters? It's gonna be 45 meters, okay? That's the actual width of the park. And then if the length is 4 units, then the length, the actual length is gonna be 120 meters, all right? So now I'm gonna take these actual values and I'm gonna convert them to this new scale, okay? So I have 1 unit represents 10 meters on my new scale. So I need to find out how many units will represent 120 meters. Well, to go from 10 meters to 120, I multiply by 12. So therefore, on this new scale, the new length is going to be 12 units, okay? And then I have to do the same for the width. So the width, if it's the true width of the park is 45 meters. My new scale here, what am I doing? I am multiplying by 4.5. So therefore, my new width is 4.5 units, okay? So what I did was I took the dimensions on this scale, I found the true dimensions, and then I converted them to new dimensions on this scale, okay? I would like for you to do the check now on page 417 and also on page 418. And the last thing I'm going to say is on page 420, and it talks about a scale factor, which is a scale written in simplest ratio form. The terminology is a little bit different, but you have done the math part of this before. It says find the scale factor of a model sailboat if the scale is 1 inch equals 6 feet. 1 inch is the same as 6 feet, okay? Well, first of all, we're gonna put our units in, we're gonna make them the same, okay? So essentially, we're gonna say 1 inch to 6 feet is the same thing as 1 inch to 72 inches. And I can say that because I know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot, right? And 12 times 6 is 72. So my scale factor is 1 to 72, okay? That is my scale factor. I don't need the inches anymore. This is my scale factor, all right? Why don't you do, actually that's it. There are practice problems for you to do. I'd like you to do 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7. And I will post the key on Google Classroom, and I'm happy to help you with any of these as well. Thanks for your attention.